All right, David, man. So, I've been waiting for this. So excited. I've been into conspiracies for like over 20 years, and you, Bill Cooper, Fritz Sprigmeyers were like really these trailblazers who really woke me up a long time ago after 9/11. And I definitely want this show to be about you, and I don't want to talk too much, but there's something I've been wanting to tell you for a while because I was actually involved in 2012. Do you remember back when you went on conspiracy theory with Jesse Ventura?
I thought this was going to be a serious conversation.
You're insulting me and saying it's not?
Oh, yes.
Yes, and you were basically attacked by Alex Jones and Jesse Ventura.
I think you should talk to David Icke. Years ago, I said that he was the turd in the punch bowl.
Yeah.
Um, so right around that same time, I reached out to this guy named Dr. Horowitz to do a show about 528 frequency. And when I started talking to him and his partner Sherry, they right away start coming at me about Alex Jones and this guy named Anthony Hilda. And to let you know, Hilda was actually brought onto conspiracy theories. The Ozarks episode, it starts off with Jesse meeting Anthony Hilda, and he said, "Oh, he looks like a Paul McCartney."
This Paul McCartney looking guy is a big name in the conspiracy field.
But this guy, they start telling me that Dr. Horowitz is telling me that he's been good friends with Anthony Hilda, and they had this big falling out to where Hilda was putting out misinformation saying he was a Knight of Malta, and he's telling me that Hilda is actually a CIA agent involved in counterintelligence program, and he's calling out Alex Jones and all of them. And I already had issues with Alex Jones and didn't trust him. Uh, so I actually thought it would be a great idea, and I ambushed Anthony Hilda on a show to where I had Dr. Horowitz call in live, and him and Hilda went at it. And Hilda got exposed. And then after the show, we caught him in multiple lies. And then I actually even talked to a former CIA agent, Barbara Hartwell, who was the partner of Ted Gunderson. And I ended up, this is where I fell into this whole counterintelligence program and found out that these people basically were running conspiracy theories with Alex Jones, Jordan Maxwell. A lot of these big name people were all connected to Anthony Hilda. And the fact that they attacked you, they still lie to this day about Bill Cooper. It's just more reassuring to me that you are the real deal and not part of that club. And that was a big thing. This was 2012. YouTube removed the video, and this is when nothing was really getting removed. Like you weren't banned yet, still, and stuff like that. So we knew it was something big. A week later, we tried to do another show. They literally fried our camera, like with an EMP weight thing or something. Uh, the cable company was sitting outside my house for 3 days trying to get in to because I had an internet problem. So it was like a big thing to where we exposed Anthony Hilda. And I just wanted to tell you that, I believe in you. I think it was so disrespectful what Alex Jones and Jesse Ventura did to you. And now I believe that they are actually working for the CIA and the FBI and a part of counterintelligence, which to me it started in, to go after communism. Then they were going after the Black Panthers and other stuff. And then I feel like they've hijacked the conspiracy movement. And I love everything that you do. I love how you do the dot connector. Been listening to you. You're like a breath of fresh air, someone who's actually calling out Donald Trump, Alex Jones, Russell Brand, Joe Rogan. To me, the fact that especially Alex Jones, who talked about Bush and Obama and called out so many things, is now acting like Trump is this savior and this whole Magna movement. So I'm really excited to have someone who actually gets it and is speaking the truth like you, and to hear your takes on Alex Jones, Donald Trump, the whole MAGA movement, which to me seems like a bunch of deception to trick the conspiracy movement.
Well, yeah. First of all, uh, I started on this road in 1990, and I've always worked alone. Um, I've never worked with groups, and I've never worked with networks, because the only person really that can infiltrate me is me if I do that. So I've done that um, from the start. And it's we can talk about who's part of it and who isn't. But what I do is I look at outcomes. I look at how things turn out. What is the effect of something? I don't listen to just what words people speak. They're easy. But what is the outcome? So we were in a situation in the COVID era when people in greater numbers than ever before were starting to get it. They were at least at the level of, hey, this conspiracy stuff, this coordinated operation idea, it's clearly happening, because it's how do you get basically the entire world, not quite, but in effect, to all respond the same way to this alleged, and it is alleged, virus. And how do you get them all to start fake vaccinating their populations with a vaccine that's not a vaccine under previous criteria? How do you do all this? And how did the fake vaccine just appear out of nowhere? So I remember going on massive protests in London during COVID against the restrictions and against all of it that was going on. And what you had was people from many various different backgrounds, different belief systems in many ways, who had come together in unity, realizing there was a common threat here to all of us. And there weren't so much protests as they were almost like spiritual events. I mean, there was such a unity, there was such a joyful support of everybody. And I thought at that time, we've got a bit of a chance here now. When the first people started protesting against the restrictions, they were picked off by the police and arrested quite easily, because there weren't many of them. But by the time we were finished, you had hundreds of thousands of people walking through the streets of London. The police were on both sides of the street watching us go past, because nothing they could do. And the penny was dropping in so many people that, hey, this is where the real power is. The power is in unity. The power is in realizing that we live in one-party states, and it doesn't matter who you vote for, the government still gets in, pushing the same agenda, different rhetoric, same direction when you look back. And we were starting to get somewhere. Now, if you are this, what I call global cult, this global network of secret societies with an interlocking leadership, mission control, then you look at this and you think, we've got to do something here. Because unity is the last thing that we need, because unity means we're in serious trouble. We've got to divide them. We've got to divide them so we can rule them. And by this period, not least in Britain, you had the Boris Johnson government imposing the restrictions, and you had the so-called opposition, now Prime Minister Keir Starmer, complaining that the restrictions weren't fierce enough, weren't extreme enough. And the penny was dropping. Hey, we do live in a one-party state. These people want to impose fascism, and these people want it worse. We were really starting to get somewhere. The realization of the irrelevance of political choice when the same force was controlling both sides. So then I started to notice in the immediate aftermath, once we got into 2021, that people were starting to come in from the mainstream and were beginning to take over the alternative media. They would get tremendous support from the algorithms. They'd come out of nowhere and suddenly they were everywhere. And I watched people like Tucker Carlson come in from Fox. I think it was in 2022, which was a bit of a classic, really, because I'm not, just having a go at Carlson here. I'm just making a point, and that is that this force behind the global cult and the direction of human society may be evil, and it may in many ways be stupid, but it's actually very clever in one area, one very, very crucial area. It knows, how to manipulate public perception, human perception, which is crucial because from perception comes our behavior. Once you've got someone's perception, you've got them. And they also understand how to predict. I'm sure they've got AI and computers on it now, that if they do stimulation A or action A, they're going to get public reaction B. And they're brilliant at it because they've been doing it for so long. And indeed, it's the foundation of human control. It's how to manipulate human perception and therefore control human behavior en masse. So you have to start thinking like they do to see through it. So if we go back to the Carlson situation, you had him on Fox. And I used to get up in the morning and I'd watch on YouTube his show the night before, not because he was cutting edge. He was nowhere near, and he's not now, but he was further ahead in many ways than the rest of the mainstream. And I saw the people he had on, and I saw him, appear to open his mind more and more as the months and years passed, to the fact that maybe there was something else going on that he hadn't realized before. And then came the point where he was fired by Fox. Now, on the face of it, and this is the level of perception that they want to manipulate, people looked at that and said they fired him because he's going too far. Okay, well, let's play that out. He was at the time getting a few million a night on his show. But this global cult inner core would well know that if he was fired from Fox and the reaction was they've done it because he's going too far, they're trying to silence him, then by this time, Elon Musk's X is up and running. They would know that he would move into the alternative arena, shall we say, and he'd become a superstar overnight because they've given him the credibility in the mind of the pushbackers and the MAGA by firing him from Fox. And that's how they think. And what happened? He moves to X, and then he gets his own platform, and he's suddenly into tens and tens and tens of millions of viewers, more than he had on Fox. And they wouldn't have known that. Are you having a laugh?
That's funny. I bring that up about Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate, basically the same thing, gets blackballed, and then Musk promotes him on X, and it's like they propped him up, and now they make Elon Musk said that that he's going to back him to be the Prime Minister of the UK, Andrew Tate.
Yeah, he said that a little while ago. He
Yeah.
said things, Musk, but The thing is too that you know you have these people like the Tates who become these so-called alternative superstars because what I saw happen was during the period of the Democrats and indeed it was happening around the world. It still is outside of the Trump regime. That people were being pushed to an extreme by what was called and is called the woke mentality, where it was not about equality and fairness. It was about if you don't adhere to what we say you must believe or at least do, you must get our pronouns right and all this stuff, then we're going to work to get you fired from your job and lose your livelihood, right? So it was getting absolutely extreme. It was really being pushed and pushed and pushed, and there was always going to be a reaction to that. There's always going to be in the end a fury at what was going on. And if you look at a lot of these people that came out of the mainstream into the alternative media in that immediate post-COVID period, a lot of them came in being anti-woke. And so suddenly they got a lot of support because the algorithms loved them, so they got a lot of exposure. And people were saying, yeah, stop the woke and all that stuff that went on. But then what happened is these people that came in on the back of being anti-woke then started pontificating about the wider conspiracy, which they knew absolutely nothing about. And what this whole amalgamation of these people has done has, and with some of them systematically, with some they just don't understand, it has regressed the alternative media back from it's a one-party state, it doesn't matter who you vote for, the government still gets in, to the left-right puppet show. And when I see people, I've seen Alex Jones say this a number of times, that the deep state is the Democrats. It just shows you just how much the regression has reached.
Yep.
Because the cult works through all parties.
Yes.
There is no it's them, it's everybody, it's all of them. And again, it's the whole political scene is about the manipulation of perception. So if you don't like party A, then you vote for party B. And then if you don't like party B, then you have to get them out. And how do you do that? You vote for party A again. And that's how it's been going in countries all over the world. So it's a scam. And like I say, when you look back at the end of any regime's tenure, you see that actually there's very little difference. It may be in speed here and there, but there's very little difference in the direction that the country, the world has been taken in that period, whether they're of the left and whether they're of the right. It fascinates me now to see the left that wanted so much censorship and silencing of people and cancelling of people because of their views on the woke mentality, who are now suddenly calling out censorship by the Trump regime of based on anti-Semitism and calling out what's happening in Gaza. It's like, no, hold on a minute. censorship is censorship. It's not left censorship or right censorship. And it's not about freedom of speech based on whether you agree with someone or not. It's freedom of speech. It's freedom to speak. And so you don't have a it's all right when we do it mentality. You say, I don't care who's being silenced. I'm not going to stand by and let it happen. I don't care if the person being silenced is saying something I don't agree with. I'm still going to stand up for their right to say it. This is what the real alternative media should be about, but it's regressed. And what I also started to see very clearly was that these people who had come in from the alternative, from the mainstream rather, into the alternative, were invariably supporting Trump and pushing the quote right. I've seen so-called alternative people who, when the left were in power, calling out censorship and surveillance and what have you, who are now making excuses for Peter Thiel and Palantir.
Yep.
Being given by Trump contracts for surveillance and tracking. I mean, you're either for it or you're against it. You're not for it when it's your side, and against it when it's the other side saying the same thing. And so we've reached this situation where the alternative media has basically been broken up and divided on the basis of pro-Trump or anti-Trump, and pro-Musk or anti-Musk, and what have you. And it's been devastating for the movement forward to understand that there's a global force that's working through all these different elements and parties to a global agenda that has in its sights controlling and enslaving everybody, not left or right or center, everybody, through artificial intelligence. And this is something that I've been talking about now for, well, a couple of years in terms of the takeover of the alternative media. I remember contacting Alex Jones through his producer, would have been what, 2023 now, August 2023, about that time, and saying, look, have you noticed that the alternative media is being taken over by these people? And what I got back via his producer was, yes, I've seen it. Alex has seen it, but he doesn't know what to do about it. And I said, well, tell him to give me a call and we'll knock it around. But I never got a call. And the next thing I know is he's having on his show people I was talking about. And what's happened since then is that Alex has been completely drawn in and consumed by the MAGA media and the left-right puppet show, which he used to talk against.
Yeah.
And we now today, as I'm speaking, I've been looking at the announcements by the Trump DOJ and FBI, Trump appointees, saying that they found no evidence that there is any Epstein files, and that there's no evidence to arrest anybody for involvement with Epstein and all that went with it. And I'm looking at people like Alex Jones, and they're almost distraught and in despair because they can't understand it. They say, well, what's going on? Well, what's going on is the guy that you promoted and told people to vote for and campaigned to get into power is just another front man for the same deep state cult as the ones that come from the Democratic side. And unfortunately, so much of the alternative media, that central core that gets all the algorithmic support and gets all the big numbers, that's been forgotten. Fortunately, there are people outside of that inner core that are well aware of what's happening. And but of course, they don't get the algorithmic support from people like Elon Musk on X, by the way, who's supposed to be about freedom of speech, but it's not about freedom of speech. It's about freedom to post. But how many people see those posts is down to X and its algorithms. And it's very clear that if you are saying certain things, then you'll get big numbers. And if you're saying other things that go against that narrative, then you won't.
See, I feel like the reason Trump is so perfect at this point is, I believe, because of people like you and these amazing alternative researchers, that conspiracy theories got so big. And especially after Obama and that whole time like we were talking in 2012, I think conspiracies became so big. People were tired of left, right, mainstream media that they came up with this perfect psyop of this is an outsider and and then Alex Jones is promoting Trump as he's going to drain the swamp. And like you said, Epstein, he was friends with Epstein. It's no surprise. A couple weeks ago, he said that he would pardon Diddy. Why would you pardon a guy who's, doing these things to women? It shows like, but anyway, to get off topic there, but it's like he was the perfect psyop because, like you said, alternative media was taking off. I feel like because of people like you, conspiracies became sort of mainstream and people were searching for it. And Alex Jones and these people basically hijacked it and told us, "Oh, here's Trump. He's not a left right. He's not a politician. He's not going to be bought off." And it's like this perfect psyop. And I'm so surprised.
Well, all you needed to do was to do a modicum of research into Trump's background. And you realize immediately he's no outsider. He's an insider. And he's someone who he is a genetic liar. I mean, the ease with which this guy lies is bloody legendary.
It is.
So all politicians lie, but this guy is absolutely major
Different
league.
level. Yeah, different level.
Different level. But the whole point of the psyop, or one major aspect of the psyop, of this takeover of the alternative media, was to target those people who were skeptical of the system. I think you just indicated that. And did look at the world in a different way and said there's some kind of conspiracy going on here. And the other thing is you look at what the planned outcome is, and fundamental to that outcome is control by artificial intelligence, especially the fusion of humans and artificial intelligence. So AI becomes the human mind and emotional processes. And you look at that and you think, okay, we've pretty much got the left, because they're kind of lying down and thinking of America, and in terms of this AI thing. But the big problem is this these pushbackers, which were designated the right. I mean, I'm a massive pushbacker, and I'm not the right, and I'm not the left. I don't believe in them labels. But so you had to target them. So how do you do that? Well, one of the greatest forms of mind control and perceptual manipulation is to tell people what they want to hear. It's devastating, because if you tell people what they want to hear, the door's always already swinging open, because you want it to be true.
Good point. Yeah.
You tell people what they don't want to hear, and the door is padlocked because they don't want to. I know that. I've been telling people what they don't want to be true for 30, well, nearly 36 years now. So I know the pushback you get from that because they don't want it to be true. Well, neither do I. It just happens to be. So let's face it and deal with it. And so Trump comes along and he's telling people what they want to hear. He's talking against woke. Well, of course, they're open to that. He's talking against the central bank digital currencies, except that he's wanting to bring in stable currencies, which are the same, programmable digital currencies. And he's pushing back against some of the areas that the pushbackers wanted to get rid of. But at the same time, he's surrounded by the AI oligarchs of Silicon Valley around Peter Thiel, Elon Musk for a long time, and now they're in a fallout situation, but we'll see where that goes. And your Mark Andreessens, your David Saxes, that is Trump's AI and crypto czar. All these people are in the background. Larry Ellison,
Yeah.
Sam Altman, they're pushing this AI control agenda, which the pushbackers that we now call the MAGA have always, until Musk came along and bought Twitter, been very, very skeptical about. And hey, what's going on here? This is the AI control system. And what's fascinating, again, because it's all perceptual manipulation. You had all the platforms that were throwing people off for challenging the agenda. And then along comes Elon Musk to buy Twitter X, as he calls it now. And, you know, it's well established, well, it was obvious because we all experienced it, that before he came, Twitter was controlled by the deep state. It was deleting people for going against the agenda, all these things. And then he bought it. Not only that, he released some so-called Twitter files to show, hey, this is proof that before me, the deep state controlled Twitter. The question is, if the deep state controlled Twitter and had it exactly where they wanted it, which they did, why did they sell it to him? Why did they do that? I mean, what is the benefit to them of selling Twitter to a quote deep free speech absolutist? None, but there is. Now, I've been following, tracking Elon Musk for years and years back, long before Twitter came along. And so when he bought Twitter, I knew it was a scam. It was only a case of working out how, and that didn't take long. Because what I saw, back to the alternative media again here, is suddenly people who were very skeptical of Musk and were calling him out often for being part of this transhumanist agenda and promotion of artificial intelligence and the control system, they suddenly stopped doing that. Now, Musk is one of us. He's our hero. We'll have nothing said against him. And then you had this fusion, which was pretty inevitable, between Trump and Musk that got Trump over the line into the White House. And with all these AI oligarchs around him, it took 2 days after he came to office for Trump to wheel out Larry Ellison and Sam Altman in the White House, in the Oval Office.
Yeah, I
So
saw that where he was talking about AI is going to be creating
yeah,
specific vaccines for each person.
That's the one.
Yep.
Stargate, they call it, up to
Yep.
$500 billion, they say, promoting all the infrastructure necessary to have the AI control system. But no, Trump's on our side, and Musk's on our side, so it's not a problem. They wouldn't do that to us. Oh, they would. And what I'm seeing now, because you see, when you want to transform a society, when you want a great reset, as Schwab would put it, you have a problem, which is the status quo. It's how things are now. And so that has to go. And it's something that you could call creative destruction. You destroy a status quo, you bring in another one, then you destroy that, and then you bring in another one. And each new status quo takes you closer and closer to your ultimate goal of an AI human fused control system in which you literally control people's thoughts. And the two world wars in the 20th century were phenomenal examples of creative destruction. The world was totally changed by those two wars. We had all the centralized institutions of the United Nations, the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, the Bretton Woods Agreement, all followed the Second World War. As a result of it,
And the creation of Israel.
and the creation of Israel, which is in
Big
terms
one.
of government and its military and its intelligence, is a fundamental part of this global cult, which basically runs America. Well, basically it does, and it certainly owns Trump. So you have this creative destruction. So you're faced with a society that you want to turn in to an AI controlled society and an AI human fused society. So you've got to destroy the status quo. And you've got to bring on board, or at least subdue, all those people that would push back on what you want. So they bring in Trump and Musk, both telling people what they want to hear. You've got Musk, who positioned himself a long time ago as an AI skeptic, because these people play the long game. And ever since, he's just promoted more and more AI. And then came this crucial point where Musk came out and said, well, I'm very skeptical about AI. Yeah, I believe you, Elon, yeah. But if we don't fuse with AI, then humans are going to die out. So trust me, because it's inevitable that this is going to happen. Trust me, and I'll make sure I'll mitigate it. I'll mitigate how bad it becomes. And so you look at the outcomes of the hard sell of AI, which is we'll be gods and it will all be great. And then you look at and that's the fusion of humans and AI. And then you look at the Musk outcome, and oh no, I'm skeptical. But what's the outcome, Elon? Oh well, yeah, humans are fused with AI. Thank you, same outcome. So what you've been doing is, on one side, telling your target pushbacker audience what they want to hear, at the same time convincing them that the way forward has to be AI or else. And also, you can say things like, you want to stop migrants, okay, well, we can do that with AI. We can do that with artificial intelligence. We can do that with artificial intelligence surveillance. Oh, well, as long as it will stop the migrants. Excuse me. And so suddenly you've got people switching from being anti-something to being pro-something because they think it's a solution to a problem they want
Yeah,
solved.
he's a great salesman.
Yeah, but this is how it works. So when I look now at what's been going on since Trump came to office, I won't say power because the shadows are where the power is. He has, I guess you could bring it down to one word. He has created chaos. His tariffs, on, off, up, down, has created a situation of chaos and instability in the world system, and in America, and almost everything he's done has been to throw things into disarray and chaos. Now you have Elon Musk jumping ship, leaving the Trump regime, and then suddenly, within days, turning the fire on it. And it's going on to this day. I think he's having a bit of a party with this announcement about the Epstein files, from what I can see on X this afternoon. And he's now saying he's going to start another political party. And he's against Trump. Now, what is this doing? It's creating chaos.
Yeah.
It's all chaos. And if you look at the 33rd degree of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, its motto is Ordo ab chaos, order out of chaos.
It's even on our money in America.
Yeah, and what I a phrase I coined back in the 1990s was problem, reaction, solution. Create the chaos, then offer the solution out of the chaos. And so what we're seeing is the dismantling of the current system. Yes, it's a system that the cult has put into place, but now it wants to move on to an even more extreme one in the stepping stones technique to its outcome, its ultimate outcome. And so we're seeing the system being dismantled. And, drama is a wonderful way of grasping the attention of people and diverting them away into the drama so they don't see what's actually happening. So people, we're back to the Fox sacking of Carlson, basically technique, in the sense of, you look at it and you say, okay, Trump's against Musk and Musk's against Trump, and now all suddenly they've fallen out and he's just starting a political party. Well, narcissists don't tend to get on for very long. So the outcome of the relationship between Trump and Musk was pretty much inevitable. In fact, I saw an interview with Michael Wolff, the longtime biographer of Donald Trump, who was asked just after he came to power, how long do you think this Musk-Trump thing is going to last? And I think he was about right. He said about 6 months. He said, because Trump falls out with everybody eventually. But the point is that you can look at it like that, or you can see it in the wholeness of it, and it's absolute chaos and upheaval. And this Epstein thing, it's not going to go away, because you've only got to see it. This thing today is quite significant, because I'm seeing MAGA people, MAGA supporters going, hold on a minute, what's happening? You said you were going to release the Epstein files. Now, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, said that they're on my desk. And now you're saying they don't exist. What's happening?
They were a couple weeks ago saying that they were going to release the videotape of him. And it's like, do you not remember that you kept saying that there was no videotape, that they wasn't recording? So what are you going to show us now? And nobody questions, like, amazing.
It's like Mark Twain said, if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. That's a very, very good line. He had many, Mark Twain. There's a lot of things going on. And, I'm not saying this is going to happen. um, but I wouldn't rule it out, that Trump won't make it to the end of his presidency, because there's a lot of things kind of starting to bubble that could bring an end to it at some point. I'm not saying tomorrow, at some point. And if he did have to step down, then Vance would become president. And J.D. Vance is owned to his DNA by Peter Thiel at Palantir and so much else. So they would definitely get the AI then, no problem. But they'll get it under Trump as well, because Trump is someone who is infamous for not being about detail. And it was interesting in the last few days where people were saying that clearly Trump didn't know what was in this big, beautiful bill. He's saying it's this, it's that, and there was nothing about it in the bill. Now, the questions that people were asking was, is he doing it because he's lying? Or is he doing it because he really doesn't know what's in it? Because he's a salesman. It's like, I'm going to sell this and I'm going to sell that. It's the great. This way he talks in superlatives all the time. It's the greatest. It's the best in history. There's never been anyone like me and all that. And so he's a salesman. Okay, I want to sell you this. What is it? Oh, I don't know, but I want to sell you it. That's the kind of vibe you get from him. So he's not into detail, and but he's a good salesman. And it's the detail is done by people around him and in the background. And when we have a situation where a bill is going to give massive tax cuts to billionaires and take healthcare from the poor, there's something seriously not right. And when you have, I don't support illegal migration, but there has to be a balance. When someone's been in the country for 20 or 30 years and they've got 3 kids and a husband born in America, they're not the same as a criminal who's just come across the border and is breaking into people's homes or whatever, attacking people on the street. It's not the same thing. But because of the Trump salesmanship in terms of, I'm going to get rid of all these migrants and these are the numbers that are going to go, they have to go into people that are not criminals, and have been in America for a very long time and have got kids and what have you, like I say. And to see the United States reach a point where you have basically a prison camp in the Everglades.
Yeah, the alligator Alcatraz or whatever they're called.
Alligator Alcatraz, where people can't escape because the alligators will get them. And for the president of the United States to be laughing and joking about that, we have reached some kind of real depth of depravity in the Oval Office. And where I'm going with this is that people are saying, is that really Trump, or is his mind going? Is he going into some kind of point where he's not the Donald Trump that was before? And I've been looking at him, not from that point of view, first of all, just looking at him since he came to office this time. And he's not the same bloke. He hasn't got the same energetic field coming off him. His eyes look very strange, and very not here often. And, there are many reasons starting to build where I would think, well, maybe he won't make it to the end of this
Wow.
of this presidency. We'll see. He may do, but he may not.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I imagine having to be a salesman for such a toxic, evil product, even for someone like Trump's got to weigh on you. You know, anybody, no matter how evil we might perceive these people, there's got to be something to like that eats away at your soul or something to know that you're doing all this stuff that's going to hurt people, you know?
Well, I don't know. It depends. It depends where Trump comes on the evil scale, if you like,
Yeah.
because when I see him come into office and immediately take all restrictions from American arms sales to and supply to Israel. When I see him immediately take off all sanctions against settlers who are stealing the West Bank and throwing Palestinians out of their homes, then you've got to be some level of evil to do that. And or there's got to be an enormous amount on you that you don't want coming out. And I think this is lost a lot of the time. Key politicians are put into key positions of power because either they are knowingly cultists and advancing the agenda. They're the few. Or they are incredibly pliable and will just do what is necessary to advance their career. They're good too, because they'll do what you want as well.
Yeah. Useful
But there's,
idiots.
but there's another part of it, and it's much bigger than people think. And that is they've got something on you. So, and something big on you. So now, if you do what we say, then you're going to become this big political figure. You're going to be feted. You're going to have all this money, and it's all going to be great. But if you don't do what we say, well, wonder what would happen if this came out. We can prove it, by the way, and we can slip it into the media because we own the media.
Yeah.
What do you think? And this is happening all the time. You see, I've talked to women who were at one time little more than children, girls in the Epstein ring network, and they all talk about the microphones and the hidden cameras.
Yeah. Great point.
This is why what's come out today, oh, there's no evidence. It's all nonsense. But that was a sting ring gathering evidence and blackmail material on people that they wanted to ensure would do what they were told. And so you have this thing with Israel. No one does this more professionally, if you like, more skillfully than Mossad and all that comes from the Israeli Defense Forces, and who massively have infiltrated Silicon Valley, by the way. So you have a situation where, especially when you see someone who might come into power and say all the right things and actually appear to mean it, and then suddenly they switch and they're pushing things that they were once against. Now, you see this big, beautiful bill. How many people said, oh, no, I'm not having it, not voting for that. Oh, this is terrible for the poor and all that stuff. It's just for billionaires. And what happened in the end? The votes necessary
Got passed. Yeah.
it got passed. And so it's like so much would have been going on. Excuse me. I don't think that your career will last very long if this came out. What do you think?
Yep.
And you know, in Britain, we have this system which they have in many countries. It's called the whip system in Parliament, and if they send out, say you're the government or an opposition party, they'll send out the votes that are going to go happen that week and the debates that are going to go on that week, and a one line underlining. It's called a one line whip. Is we'd like you to vote with us if of the party. Two line whip, we really would like you. Three line whip, if you don't, there's consequences. And you've only got to see the stories over the years, over the decades of these so-called whips, these people who are employed by political parties to make sure that the any rebels in the party are sorted out and vote the way the hierarchy wants. How many of them have warned politicians that this is going to come out? You know, you like little boys. Well, we wouldn't like that to come out, would we? And
Yeah.
so, oh no, well no, well I've reconsidered now. I'll vote with what you want. So this is going on all the time, and so when I see people saying, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to vote against this, and then they don't, well, and nothing's changed, then you know
Yeah.
something's gone on in the background. But and this is how it works. And so we come back to Trump. Israel will have an absolute enormous amount on Trump. Never mind that Sheldon Adelson, the casino magnate, gave him $200 million for his first two election campaigns. And Miriam Adelson, his widow, has given him $100 million for this election campaign. And part of that agreement, this has been reported in the Jewish press, is that Trump at some point in this presidency will sanction the Israeli annexation of the West Bank. They've got most of it now anyway. And part of the Adelson money, the first money when Trump got in the first time, was that the strings of this 100 million, Donnie, are that you will move the embassy from Tel Aviv, the US embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, done, and you will agree to the Golan Heights of Syria becoming Israeli territory, done. There's a location in the Golan Heights now called Trump Heights in appreciation. So there's that money side of it, yeah. But there'll be very, very serious other sides of it too. That if he wants to continue, then you do what Israel tells you, or Israel's people tell you, or it
That-
will come out.
I love that you've been saying that. I seen you doing some good stuff on dot connecting, you talking about it. Because again, you won't hear Alex Jones or anybody talking. It seems like a lot of people don't want to talk about Israel or Trump's connection to Israel or Israel's power. But you know,
Well, I
that's
mean, it's blatant now.
it should be.
I'll give you the irony, mate. I've been writing about this at Israel's control of America and manipulation of countries since the mid 1990s. When 95, the first book came out where I wrote about it in detail. And I've had events cancelled all over the world ever since on the basis of I'm an anti-Semite, usual story. I'm banned from Australia and I'm banned from 30 European countries currently. Now for the last nearly 3 years, it's 4 years, and they say it's just going to continue for criticizing Israel, shall we say, Israel's government and behavior. And a lot of the people, the whole basis of the people that have supported these bans and these cancelling of events have been the left. And now suddenly, with all this horror going on in Gaza, I'm now seeing the left, some of whom actually called for my events to be cancelled as a result, are now saying some of the same stuff. They've not apologized, by the way. But this is what you're dealing with. But again, you look at Trump, and Trump signposted this in his election campaign, that he was going to target anti-Semitism in America. And that's what he's done. He's pulled people off the street and thrown them into detention centers for pro-Palestinian rallies, etc., and organization. And on every level, in every way, he's owned by Israel. And the question that people should be asking is, why is that?
Yes.
So you can go back to his background, going way back, and his connections to this guy Roy Cohn, who was a deeply ultra-Zionist, corrupt lawyer, infamously so, who was his mentor. You can go back to Trump's father, who was very friendly with Netanyahu when he was ambassador to the United Nations, I think he was. And you can see all these connections that Trump has had. I mean, there was a time when Trump, and you can see this clip on the internet still, who said he was so bankrupt, he was in for $1 billion personally, never mind his companies. And he was dead, gone in the water. He bought, he built casino, because this is the myth, art of the deal, Trump. Well, art of the deal, that was written by someone else for a start. But he's a very poor businessman. And he built these casinos, and he bought another one. I think it was the Taj Mahal. And he was completely bankrupt. The amount of money he had to bring in to service the debt, I mean, he didn't even get close to it. I mean, he was miles off. So he's gone. And then in came Wilbur Ross, a 24 years employee in bankruptcy, as I understand it, for the Rothschilds, came in, still working for the Rothschilds at the time, and organized 72 banks, a network of 72 banks, to that was the size of the debt, to bail out Trump. And so he's been beholding ever since, because Trump is who Trump is because of that bailout. So he's beholding to them. And so you've got the blackmail, you've got the fact that he's beholding to them because they saved his backside. And you've got the money. And you put that lot together, and it's no surprise, is it, that he does whatever Israel tells him.
Definitely doesn't seem like an outsider or someone they hate if they're backing him like that.
Hilarious. Hilarious. Nothing like. It's funny to see Elon Musk saying he's going to start a new political party because he believes in freedom and the end of the two-party state and all that stuff. These people are not representative of the mass of the public. They have an agenda. They may, it's like you have certain mentalities, narcissistic mentalities, psychopathic mentalities, and they will fight each other to get up the greasy pole. But in the end, there's an seeing level of that pyramid of hierarchical control, that if any of it gets out of hand and threatens the agenda, then they'll knock their heads together and do what's necessary to sort it out. So you will have people. I got this question the other day. Does the cult agree? The cultists agree on everything, and well, what? No, they don't. Nothing like. They fight among themselves all the time, but there's a hierarchy, an inner core that will allow that because it's all part of the chaos. But you start threatening the agenda, and there are consequences because they're not having it.
Yeah.
And so this stuff that's going on with Musk and Trump now, it may be genuine, it may not be genuine, but it may be genuine. And but what it is, it's all part of this totality of chaos, leading to the dismantling of the current status quo so another can take over.
Would you say that's basically what we're in now is like the end game to where basically the destruction of America, the world, to where they could bring about this one world government, right? Out of the ashes, this new system will come, destroy the money, so then we could have this digital currency, AI controlling everything because can't trust the government or anybody elected. Um, that's what it seems like to me, right? Would you agree?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there's lots of things to that. I mean, there's there's all these biblical end times. They're not actually happening, but they're being made to look like they're happening.
That's what I actually feel is the reason for Israel so much tied into it is
Yeah,
to
yeah,
have this fake end times event.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they're making it happen. I've written about this at some length, and it's interesting that this alternative media takeover is overwhelmingly peopled by those that support Israel and Christian Zionists, who think that they must support. I mean, classic recently, Ted Cruz, in that interview with Tucker Carlson, where he's saying that he has to support Israel, right or wrong, because it says so in the Bible, and he won't be blessed unless he does, and all this nonsense. That, I mean, you think, sorry, you're a senator.
Yeah.
Can you pinch me? I need to confirm that. It's ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous. I've seen Russell Brand say, "Well, you've got to say if you believe you're a Christian that there's a connection between the Jewish people and Israel." Well, not if you do the research. There's not. There is if you just believe the Old Testament without.
Uh-huh.
But
Agreed.
so we're in a situation where the fake end times are being made to happen. And I don't know whether you saw that. It was kind of horrendous. Was some Christian pastor in America that put a video out that when Trump was bombing Iran, and he was singing a song saying how wonderful it was because the end times were coming and the Lord was coming back.
Yeah.
So and then you look at these real extremist, crazy rabbis and such like, the real extreme ones, and they say that the West must be destroyed before the Jewish Messiah will come.
Mhm.
And so they celebrate the end of the West. The thing is, they're working to make it happen. And I saw one guy who was congratulating Trump and saying he was going to be a hero because he was dismantling America. And that's exactly what the end times say must happen before the Messiah comes. And then you've got the Christian belief system, which has its own Messiah. Jesus is coming back. That also talks about the end times and how the tribulations and all that stuff will usher in the return of Jesus. So they're playing the minds of these people like a violin, like a stringed instrument.
Yeah.
Um,
I've been saying this to for a while too, that this fake Israel and exactly what you're saying will be to where they're going to fake this event to destroy the three Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and the Muslims are all going to be deceived, and that it's not going to play out the way that they expected, and that maybe this could be a way to where they could say, well, see, how much more do you need to see? We're not going to have these religions. It's going to be done away with. Because I feel like the New World Order has their one world religion also that they
yeah.
want to push.
They have a one world religion. It's quite possibly it's an AI god, but
Mhm.
uh, the uh, the whole area of religion is one of the great forms of mind control by this cult. And it sounds kind of extreme, but what is mind control? It's getting people to believe what you want them to believe. That's all mind control is, and it can be individual, like MK Ultra and Manchurian candidates, or it can be collective, which is what you have with religions. And they don't care what you believe as long as you believe it rigidly and without question, because then they got you. They got your perception.
Yep.
And then they can play off your belief system against other religious belief systems to divide and rule, and so it goes on. And it's sobering to think that, according to the figures of the 8 billion people in the world, about 5.4 billion identify as either Christian, Muslim, or Hindu. And that's without all the others. So religious belief plays a massive part in the perceptual control of the population. Um, uh, that's not to say I don't think there's some kind of higher force, if you want to call it that, but I say we're expressions of that higher force and not subordinate to it. We've just been manipulated to forget and manipulated to self-identify with being human, self-identify with being subordinate to God, instead of realizing that we are an expression of consciousness, all consciousness. The question is, how much consciousness are you accessing? A little bit, where you self-identify with being Ethel on the checkout and Bill on the bus, or are you self-identifying with being a much more expanded state of consciousness that will not, at that level of awareness, accept being told what to do by authorities that are just seeking to control you and to enslave you? You just won't have it. And that's the level of consciousness that is necessary to bring an end to this. Because while people are picking their political belief systems, their political group, and their religious group, then those groups can be played off against each other. And I've watched a lot of what you might call left videos in the last few months, as they've been calling out Trump. And it's fascinating to watch, because they're calling him out for all the things they didn't call out Biden for and didn't call out Obama for.
Mhm.
It's like, it's unbelievable, because it's that's our side. We don't criticize our side, criticize them. If you're doing the same, as you won't criticize your side for, it's all crazy. Once you fall for the for taking a side, be a political side or religious side or whatever. Once you take a side, you're dead in the water, because you'll then start filtering what you see and what you perceive.
Yeah, it becomes like a cult mentality,
Yeah, it becomes a cult
right?
mentality. Well, I've just read a book, actually. I think I've got it here somewhere.
Yeah, I
Um,
saw that connect the dot with
yeah,
the
and
Trump.
there's a lot of stuff in the book that Stephen Hassan, I think his name is. He's a psychologist who specializes in freeing people from destructive cults. He was in the Moonies a long time ago, and so has personal experience of it. There's a lot in it that I don't agree with, in the sense that he's buying a lot of things that I think he should know better than. But in terms of taking the basic foundations and indeed the detail of what a cult is and how a cult works and how a cult leader works, and applying that to Trump and the MAGA, he is very, very spot on in what he's saying about that. Because once you take a side, I'm not talking about saying, okay, what's happening in Gaza is appalling. That's a view of something that's happening. But if you take a side, like I'm pro-Muslim or I'm pro-Israel, pro-Jewish, then you start to filter events through that sense of us and them.
Yeah, like a bias.
Yeah. So I've visited the Middle East many times. I've only been to Israel once. I mean, they won't let me in now, but a long time ago, I started having a go at them. But I've been to the Middle East many times, and I've met there Muslims who are so corrupt, it's unbelievable. And I've met Muslims there who are the nicest people you will ever meet in your life. They'll give you anything, even though they don't have much.
Yeah.
So it's not the color of someone's skin, and it's not the religion they follow. It's the mentality of the person. So you have people who will call themselves Christian, but they'll express in their Christianity things like "do unto others as you would have them do unto you," whereas others will go into Old Testament Christian Zionist beliefs, and to them, war's fine because the Old Testament God loved it, and it's the same with Christians. You know, I've met some deeply unpleasant Christians, and I've met some lovely, lovely, lovely Christians. Same with Jewish people. Same with Hindu people. All of them. And instead of taking a side, you just look at people on their merits, and in terms of not what they are, but who they are. And you've when you do that, you find yourself both criticizing all sides and praising all sides, depending on the people involved. And that's when divide and rule loses its potency, because there's no divide. The only thing you're making judgments on is a person's behavior and character, not what they believe or what they don't believe.
Oh, that was well said, David. That was deep. But I agree, man.
Yeah. So the sun's coming down. Let there be light.
But it's true too. Like the Christians that are so pro-war, pro-Israel, like I don't understand it. Jesus says to love even your enemy, turn the other cheek, and like you said, it's like an Old Testament that they start turning to, which to me doesn't seem like has anything to do with the New Testament or Jesus. I feel like most Americans don't even know how Israel attacked America in, I believe, 1967, where they attacked the USS Liberty. And luckily,
Well, I've written a whole book up there. Where is it? Somewhere here. The Trigger, which here it is, The Trigger, and that is about it's very detailed, and it's in two parts. The first part is what the official story is of 9/11, and demolishes that. Not difficult. I mean, every aspect of it. And then the second half of the book is, so who did it then? Because it weren't 19 Arab hijackers.
Yeah.
And the Israeli government, Mossad, IDF involvement in 9/11 is absolutely freaking extraordinary. It's everywhere. It's all over what happened and how it was done and who did it. And but you know, this is again perception or manipulation. You keep what happens is something happens like 9/11, and immediately, well, absolutely immediately, like in the initial hours of reaction, you might get some truth out before the lid goes on. But after that, there's a narrative, and it's just repeated and repeated and repeated and repeated. And there's nothing more powerful in mind control than constant repetition of the same story, because then people say, well, everyone believes that. It must be true. No, everyone's been told that. That's why. But when you look at 9/11, again, dispassionately, the Israeli government, Mossad, IDF are all over it. I mean, it's ridiculous how central their involvement was.
You know, it's
And
funny that you say like right in the beginning. I'm from the Bronx. I'm from New York. I was living down there when that happened. And I remember one of the first reports was stuff about 19 Israelis being involved. And there were reports in the beginning, like you said, trickling out that immediately were basically done away with. Just like in the beginning, there was firefighters and a video of them saying demolition that they and then never to be seen again on TV.
yeah, well, I mean, if you look at Building 7 and play it alongside a controlled demolition, I mean, excuse me, I have a look at this. I saw Tucker Carlson in an interview, will be a few months ago now, who was kind of shocked are you saying that so and so and so and so about Building 7? Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, you mean you don't know all this time later? The most obvious thing in the world when you see you can even see the charges going off.
Yeah, the squibs. Yeah.
Yeah, and how long does it take to put them in? I mean, you don't say, oh, like Silverstein.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
the fire department came
yeah.
and yeah.
Oh, we're gonna pull the building. Oh yeah, okay. So how are you gonna put all the charges in to pull the building? Oh, well, they're already there. Yeah, okay, yeah, I get that one. It's crazy. But again, if you look at it, you're bombarded with the official story, and B, the efforts to suppress and to bring consequences to those telling another story. That is the combination that happens every time these things go on. It happened in COVID. It's happened with 9/11. It's happening with the climate change story around the world as well. The BBC decided a long time ago. I mean, like decades now, that the science on human-caused climate change was proven, and therefore there's no need to have anyone on putting another point of view. I mean, what? It's crazy. But this is how it's done. And what does it come down to in the end? What does censorship come down to? It comes down to, if you control the information that people receive, you control the formed perceptions from that information. That's what it's all about. That's the foundation of everything. Control perception, control the world.
I remember you a long time ago saying the most powerful weapon being used against us is the TV. It's constantly telling you what to believe. And um,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, I have this filter that says, when authority tells me anything, and I include the news media in that, they're lying to me. Now, when I do the research into these different subjects, I might find here and there, and it is mostly here and there, that actually they were telling the truth on this occasion, and what they say happened. But overwhelmingly, you find that actually your initial reaction, they're lying to me, actually turns out to be true. And if instead of saying, okay, I'm going to accept the authority is telling me the truth unless I find out differently, you switch it and you say they're lying to me unless I find out differently. Because
Mhm.
this is what authority does. It lies because it's following an agenda. The great majority of people within so-called authority doesn't know it's following an agenda. It's just doing what it's told by the higher ups. But the higher ups know they're following an agenda. And the fundamental aspect of that is getting people to see everything the way you want them to see it. That's control of information. And so what you're having now, when you look at all the money that's been transferred to Israel since Trump came to power, when you look at the targeting of protest that's happened since Trump came to power, you know that's preparing for something. You know,
Yes.
it's an indication that there's something down the road. And I don't think, I mean, you know, you look at the situation with Iran, and suddenly Trump and Netanyahu announced there's a ceasefire, which the Iran never asked for. But okay, we'll have a ceasefire. We don't want to be bombed. But why the ceasefire? Because it's becoming clearer all the time that the Iron Dome is not as iron as they said it was, and a lot of missiles dispatched by Iran got through it and caused devastation in parts of Israeli cities.
Mhm.
And the number of interceptor missiles it takes to take out an incoming fire meant they were running out of interceptors, and they needed to, so as they restock and have a breathing space. And so that ceasefire was then spun, and I saw people like Charlie Kirk
Mhm.
and Benny Johnson and all these sycophants of Trump saying, "Oh, well, what did Charlie Kirk say? Trump should get the Nobel Peace Prize for stopping a war that he's helped to start." um, and but that was the spin. Oh yeah, he's a hero. No, they had the ceasefire because they wanted to call the dogs off because of the effect it was having. And on the morning of the ceasefire, Israeli missiles, Iranian missiles caused more damage than ever before. It seems in Israel. So, but that's what spin does.
Yeah,
So
what you said makes perfect sense.
they've
But
called the dogs off to save themselves,
mhm.
but but very large numbers of people think that uh, Trump's a hero. And what does Trump say of Netanyahu? Like he's a war hero, and not a mention of what's going on in Gaza. Um,
Yeah, there's been no ceasefire for the Palestinians in Gaza, has there?
no, and also, you know, when you're assessing the control that Israel has of Trump, and when you're assessing the morality of Trump, the fact that he's seen what's going on in Gaza and has not only said nothing and done nothing, but has supplied the weaponry to do it, that says something on both counts about him.
Yeah, you're right. I wish there was more people like you speaking like this. Like I said, it's like, a breath of fresh air listening to you talk in these crazy times. Because it just seems like so many people are deceived one way or another, like you said, left, right, or even the conspiracy movement, alternative media. Uh, People are being misled. And
Big time misled, yeah, a big time misled, and
and it's
the
why you're so censored, is
the
obviously you're a threat.
yeah, the major biggest audience people in the the MAGA media are seriously misleading people. And I think today, with this announcement of the Epstein findings or lack of them, obvious cover up, I think a lot of MAGA people are having a little reassessment. But whether they'll come back into line tomorrow and the next day and the next day, we'll see. But it's a blatant cover up because Trump represents the same deep state. I've said in a posting today on Twitter, the deep state wasn't vanquished when Trump came to power in January. It just changed its personnel. That's all. Changed its personnel and changed its rhetoric. The outcome and the goal is still the same, as we're seeing.
I remember telling his supporters in 2016, the first time he came in, because the whole time he kept talking about Hillary and how he's going to throw her in jail. And then the minute he gets elected president, he says, "Give a round of applause to my good friend Hillary Clinton." And I'm like, how did that not right there show you that he's not draining a swamp and that he's part of this? He's friends with these people. He's friends with Epstein, you know, who was
Yeah, but that's an interesting point because um, cognitive dissonance is absolutely essential to follow any cult leader, where you can um, put out of your mind that which shows that how you see someone cannot possibly be true. So the Hillary Clinton thing was a classic. Jail Hillary, and I watched him. I watched him in that softball interview on Joe Rogan just before the election, which Rogan never called him out on, of course. Where he's saying, "Oh no, I never said jail Hillary." Other people were saying that. You know, you bloody said it. You were leading the chance. You bloody liar. Uh, and then at the inaugural dinner, as you say, he calls for a round of applause for Hillary Clinton, and then still the penny doesn't drop that the man's a genetic liar. But it will, because there's things going on with Trump, and they're only going to get worse over the next 3.5
agreed.
years.
Bigger and worse is coming,
Yeah.
which people are going to have to face. Because it does seem like they want to have this World War III or fake war, whatever people want to call it, or predicted war. But it seems like an East versus West uh, fight that they want to have.
Oh, they're definitely moving the power in the world eastwards. That's for sure. And part of that is dismantling the West.
Yep.
That part of it, and Trump is part of that dismantling, and Musk is part of that dismantling. Really, I mean, when he goes into Doge and he leads the firing of all those government workers that he don't even know what they do.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. I mean, waste, abuse, and fraud. Get rid of it.
Yeah, how
But,
about get rid of
but
all the funding of Israel? Get rid of all the all that spending.
get rid of a lot of the funding for Elon Musk for a
Yeah,
start. But the fact that he did that without really caring less what they actually did, then that just says something about Elon Musk as well. So let's say that if I was an American, I wouldn't be voting for his political party. Mind you, I don't vote anyway. I
me
mean,
either. Yeah, that's the thing with Alex Jones is I still remember him back with Obama, and they were talking like how you would that both sides like voting doesn't matter. There's
yeah.
an elite that controls it, like you said, the bankers, the media, and everything that dictate who's going to be. And for him to then all of a sudden Donald Trump and we got to get him in office, and it's like how do you go from knowing that it doesn't matter to we have to vote this guy into office.
Well,
It's very fishy.
yeah. Well, I think that is. Let's say questions need to be asked.
Yeah, but
Well,
it seems like Joe Rogan and people won't have you on.
oh
But
no,
but he'll have
no,
other people talk about reptilians and
yeah.
aliens.
Well,
Um,
he's been doing that podcast, I think, since 2009. You know,
mhm.
I talk about all the and write about all the subjects that he talks about,
Yeah.
and as on the show, he won't not only won't he have me on, he just dismisses me and basically ridicules me. But um,
I think it's because he's tied into this circle. I know you don't want to get into it and you're not saying them, but this
no,
is
I
my
no,
opinion.
no.
Good friends with Alex Jones and these people,
He is
and it's a club.
he is a mate of Musk, and I you know I don't, of course he is tied into this circle, absolutely. But it's it's fascinating to see the people he does have on, who've come into the arena very recently and know next to
Hmm.
nothing because they've just not done the research.
Exactly.
And how many of these AI oligarchs he has on and gives them free reign to sell the AI agenda.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a strange one, but anyway, I just keep doing what I do, and what is and what happens happens. You know. Anyway,
Yeah.
been great talking to you.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. I mean, you're a legend to me. And I, can you tell the audience where they could hear some of the stuff that you do? Anything you want to promote real quick before you go?
Yeah, if they go to davidicke.com, you'll get all my videos there, and also daily news stories put into a context of what they mean rather than what they're told they mean. We're told they mean. And also this iconic.com, which is the media platform run by my sons that has news news shows every day, virtually every day, and full length documentaries on all these different subjects, including the crucial one, which is the nature of reality itself, which is
Mhm.
often marginalized, but actually is fundamental. Because if we don't understand what reality is, what chance have we got of understanding the world in which reality plays out? And
Yes.
the thing is that these inner cultists, they know what reality is. They know how it works, and they just don't want us to know. So they're really important documentaries. And I've written a stream of books, and I'm just nearly finished another one. And
What's the new one that you're going to release?
well, it's coming out towards the end of the year, maybe the first week of January next year, because it takes so long to get books into America now, for various reasons. And we want to do it right. But I've almost finished it, and it's basically there's lots and lots of people that have realize that there's a conspiracy going on here and a conspiracy going on there and a conspiracy going on there, and that's corrupt and that's not right, and what are they doing there? But what I've done is pull it all together into a coherent whole and said this is how it works, because people say, oh, you see a conspiracy everywhere. No, no, I see one conspiracy with enormous numbers of faces. That's
Well said.
same thing. Not the same thing.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, David. Absolute pleasure. So much
Yeah.
knowledge.
Been great talking to you.
Thank you. And you have a good day.
Yeah, you too, mate. Bye.
Bye.